Hello. Thank you for your patience. My goodness, it was one of those days. You ever had one of those days? I had one of those days where everything is fine. It's a good day. It's just a good day, a few minutes behind schedule. That's the kind of day I'm having. Cheers, everyone. L'chaim, l'chaim. Well, how are all of you? I see beautiful Kay is here. Kay Travel was watching her video. She put a video out earlier. And we're sending her beautiful healing energy. Oh, that feels so good. I don't know why. I just love to sit cross-legged. Let's say hi to all of you while people are finding the stream. Hi, Jiggy Pardo Lord. Wow, you were the first person here. Hi, Yvette. Texas votes to impeach Attorney General Ken Paxton. Yes. Yes, and we will be talking about that. It looks like Ken Paxton, Attorney General, the House, the State House has voted to impeach him, and now there's going to be a trial. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Hi, Ron DeShank. Good to see you. Hi, Copperbroom. Hi, Cardomancy Mesquite. Thanks for help. Hi, Claudia Veras. Good to see you here. Happy Sunday to you as well. So, Kay Travel, you still doing some good cooking? What's everybody eating? What's everybody drinking? Be sure and tell me. I'm going to take the hat off. I just wanted to have, it's spring. I have been out in the garden. Tell me if you've been doing any gardening. I'd love to hear it. If you want to do some gardening, if you've been inspired by my small space gardening, I went to the nursery. I bought, excuse me, more raspberries, more raspberry vine. But before I put it in direct light and killed it, now I have put it behind the rescued Christmas tree. And I have not taken it out of, it has plenty of space in its little container. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just leaving it alone and putting it behind the Christmas tree. And in the fall, maybe I will transplant it. But right now, when it's getting its nourishment, it's very cozy. It's got plenty of space. I'm leaving it alone. I got some arnica because I'm building a medicinal garden. I got marshmallow, arnica. This is going to grow for the patients who order plants from me. I'll be able to grow enough. Right now I have catnip, and I also have lemon balm growing. I have a little bit of peppermint starting to come up, and also another type of mint as well. 2 different mints growing. A mountain mint. I also bought a lavender. Yeah, so I'm living my best life, which is what we encourage here for everybody. When I'm not playing in my garden, I'm playing my guitar. Oh my God, you should see my fingers. They're so sore, you wouldn't want to know. Playing till I practically bleed. So hopefully those of you who are Patreon members enjoying the music. I put up an audio on Patreon of Down by the Water, which is put out by a local band. If you want to check it up, my version of the Decemberist, you can see it on Patreon. Okay, let's see here. I've been doing a little playing with Kay Travel and her granddaughter. Who knows? Maybe we'll start a band. Hi, Cardomancy Mosquito. Have I said hi to you yet? Yes, I think I have. Paula Snell, hi. Sue Malik, hi. Joyce Pietras, hello. Melissa Miller, hi. Debbie Brady, hi. Oh, thank you, by the way, Debbie. Debbie's doing our merch. If you have any request for anything you want her to do, anything you want her to design, please let her know. A lot of you have requested the Empath's prayer to be available on T-shirts, etc. Uh, yeah, Debbie's your girl. We're having a lot of activities. The Rose Parade started, so it's very active over here. Am I okay? Am I still on? Yes. I almost clicked the wrong thing. I almost clicked end stream. Hi, Joe. Tornado warning in Wyoming. Wow. I bought a really nice green juice from Bolt Farms. The green juice, it was delicious. Hi, Yolanda Aranda. Carol Mitchell's having a pumpkin muffin. Those are delicious. I made a lemon loaf, and I will take it off. I just put half. I used brown sugar. I think it called for brown and white sugar. I only used the brown so that it would be like almost like a sweet bread. It wasn't sweet enough. I'm like, it's not sweet enough. But it does remind me a little bit of the sweet breads that you can get in Mexico, the dry sweet biscuit breads that you dip in your coffee in the morning. So Bolt Farm Green is great. So I had, I don't want to make a mess. I'm so busy, you guys. I'm so busy. I was saying to the universe, which is so abundant, could you just have a pre-made? I would love it if it was in a renewable thing and not some plastic. That was with as little environmental impact. I just want some juice with as little environmental impact. All right. So thank you everybody for joining us. A little bit about our charity. We're raising money for the world. I think it's what is it? World Relief. Can somebody read it for me? It's the World Relief for people who are in war zones, etc. I believe we're partnering with Google, and the money's going for people who have been displaced by war, like the Ukraine war, etc. Buy a bread machine. Well, they say you can put it in a blender. The problem is, then I'm going to have to clean the bread machine, Joel. Thank you very much to Anonymous for donating $10 to the World Food Program. So that's our charity. So if you find anything that we're doing today, even remotely entertaining, gosh darn it, we would love it if you could throw a couple of dollars over to help end world hunger. My name is Whimsy. I am the Oracle of Whimsy on Sundays, a fake oracle that is not real. I just invented it. Anyway, it's my alter ego. I get to play on Sundays. So the other thing, aggravated progressive is strangely aroused by that. Oh, goody. Then hopefully you'll take what I'm pitching. The last thing Claire wanted is our book choice for the month. We started a book club to promote books from members, subscribers of the channel, people that are part of our community, not the famous people. These are people on the verge of being famous. So special shout out to Karen and Karen Fritz Sanford. I was looking at the acknowledgments and I saw that amongst the many thanks was Dr. Whimsy Anderson. So I'm actually in here, which I didn't, because I guess we had been chatting prior to her while she had been writing, and maybe something had inspired her, but that's good. Anyway, so I thank her for the acknowledgement. Anyway, this is our book of the month. I'll tell you a little bit. I'm not all the way done with it. Tuesday is the last. Tuesday, we're going to have a Taco Tuesdays at 5 o'clock. We'll have the regular show. And then after Taco Tuesdays, if you'd like to stay and join our book club Tuesday, it should be around 6 p.m. afterwards. We're going to be talking about What Claire Wanted. You still have time to read it. You can read it online. I think it's like $5.99. Possibly cheaper if you're a member of, might be free if you're a member of Amazon. I don't know how it works, but it's really good. So yeah, I'm sucked into it. Anne is the main character. It's a murder mystery. I think it should be a Netflix. I think it would be great as a Netflix 4-part series like Foyle's War. Anybody here like British mystery films? They're always set in Britain, like Foyle's War. It's 4 episodes. Every season he solves a case. This one they'd have to change the name though. If it was going to be made into it'd have to be just called Anne McCormick, which is the name of the sleuth, the private investigator. But what I like about that idea is instead of it taking place in Britain, it would be taking place in Napa Valley. So it's in the beautiful, you get to see it, in Foyle's War, you see beautiful northern England. What I like about this is it's a similar idea. You have a detective, but the terrain is now Napa Valley, so you have the wine, but it's a similar kind of genre. And I think everybody did it. A child is murdered. And I suspect I even suspect the frickin' mother. I suspect the mother, the brothers and sisters, the cousins, her father. I'm on page 70 and everybody's suspicious. It's like her dad was giving her a strange look. It's like, what do you mean? And who is this person who just showed up? And how long has Peter known his creepy wife, who's terrible, who's like a borderline? Anyway, so please join us if you love murder mysteries. Well, I like the fact that it's very much a British, but what I like is that this is the same idea, and she's very detailed, the writer, so you really feel like you get to experience life in Napa. And so I'm having a really great time enjoying it. So I was up last night reading it, and then I was writing. If she does a reprint, which I assume she will because it's selling quite well, and her reviews have been great. It'd be great if she could put for reading groups like ours a series of questions, or maybe she can join us Tuesday, the author, to talk about what inspired the characters, etc. Anyway, so thank you for that. Next month, if you join us June 1st, we'll be starting Isabel's Starry Night, Wanda Webster and Richard M's book. Ready for some remote views? I think everybody's here. So the first thing, I feel like it's leaning towards resignation. The first thing that people wanted to talk about had to do with what's going on in Texas. I had a couple notes here. Texas, Ken Paxton, Attorney General. The House has voted to impeach him. He's been temporarily thrown out of office. It was a vote of 121 to 23, with more than half of the Republicans voting to have him suspended, removed, to have him removed. They're now having a trial, and I guess they'll determine in the trial whether or not to have him removed. I did a quick remote on it. It looked to me like he was asked for the good of the Republican Party to resign. And I guess they have to determine whether or not there will be federal charges. As I had mentioned in previous remotes, the feds are all over Texas. This is one example. So you have people being outraged. You have the fact that a couple of things are going on. For starters, you have a split in the Republican Party that's quite significant for a number of reasons. Trump supported this candidate, and up until recently, he was saying that the Republicans needed to back this candidate. So my question to you is, do you think it's significant? Thank you, by the way, Yvette, for opening up the conversation. with that. Do you think it's significant that more than half of Republicans in the Texas House are splitting with Trump? Remember what I had said, keep your eyes on Texas, and that Texas is like water seeking its own level. You have to think of Texas as water seeking its own level. So Texas will find itself. Texas is a little bit lost, but let's go back to the origins of Texas. Was Texas started by evangelicals? Yeah, you had some missionaries, questionable missionaries, missionaries that couldn't make it in the big city, maybe. Missionaries that went off to hang out with people like themselves, maybe, right? That preferred to be in the outdoors, out in nature, out with their fellow countrymen, right? So Texas was a little different than maybe some of the other states in the sense that you went to Texas to find your own fortune, but you also went to Texas to get away from people, to get away from the church, to get away from norms so that you could live and let live. And so libertarianism, live and let live, lends itself very well to, if you look at the early groups that found their way trickling into Texas. And then the evangelicals took over. And it's never really, has it ever really been a comfortable fit? I ask you. Not really, no, because of this fierce need to have other people out of your business, out of your pocketbook, my women, my bar, a lot of early gay bars, right? They didn't call it that back then, right? But tolerance that would be unheard of today, given the evangelical flavor. So in a way, they've almost become more extreme, right? From the early origins of, say, the early people that were going west to get away from all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and predict that this is looking like he will likely resign because of its impact on splitting the GOP. And I also am going to predict that we're going to start seeing a rebellion by Texans of all of this hypocrisy, and the hold of the church is really starting, I think, to really bother a lot of Texans. They're going to go back to their independent ways, live and let live. The other great thing about Texas, when you go into their energy, is that over the next 15 years, the ecology. Oh, my allergies are great. Thank you. Whatever the main bloom thing was, it stopped. I haven't been coughing as much. So part of it, I think, may have been blooming grasses or something. I get them seasonally. They come and go. I'm coughing a little bit, but part of that might be because I just got out of a shower. You know, you get water in your nose and stuff. But yeah, I think I'm fine. I feel fine. I mean, you guys know when my nose is stuffed up. So yeah, so it looked like when I put myself in his shoes using HCRV, I felt that I was going to resign, and I felt like it was still questionable whether or not the state of the feds choose to file charges against him is a separate issue. So how do people feel about that? Good, yes, indifferent? San Antonio had a famous gay bar. Yeah, I mean, Brokeback Mountain was really kind of the good old days, right? Oh, you want to go back when things were great? Great. Get rid of the church, the influence of the church, live and let live. It's very bizarre. Ted Cruz, I just feel like you're looking at people who are 16, 17, well, 17 years old, 18 years old, that are going to be voting in the next election. How many of them think like this? And it goes back to those predictions about the Southern Renaissance, that the South is going to rise again, but not like it was before, like the song, I believe the South is going to rise again. And it does. It rises again, but not like before, but as this beautiful, wonderful renaissance of spiritual music, because they've opened up the way, and arts, that, and the beauty of nature and all the other amazing things, and a camaraderie and all the things that are great about that part of the world, but we see the collapse all over the South of the Republican Party. Georgia, definitely, with two now Democratic senators, but we're also seeing quaking happening in places that they never thought that they would see the collapse of the Republican Party. Trump should scare them. Trump should scare them. Mississippi, we're starting to see things getting unstable. Of course, Tennessee, we've talked about. Arizona is definitely headed in a blue direction. Texas also. It's just not looking good for Republicans, particularly if you look at polls coming out, young people in colleges or just entering colleges, how they tend to vote. Yeah, I think, Generation X, I guess that's my generation. I'm baby boomer /X, was really the kids that grew up on Reaganomics. And then what comes after is kind of the reaction to all of that, I think. Okay, I have a couple of remotes I want to get through today. We can stay extra if people want. The debt ceiling, as I had mentioned, would be resolved. I had gotten a hit that I believe it was was it Thursday? I said 2.5 to 3 days. Or was it, what day was that? I don't know. Anyway, the point is I felt when I went into the energy that here's what you do. This is an advanced HCRV technique for those of you who are students of HCRV. We're going to get into this. But you know how in HCRV, you send love to something you're trying to find information about, and then you wrap yourself around it and you just let it tell you its story. In advanced HCRV, what we want you to do is the same thing with a particular action to see the reaction. This is why we can see people. This is how we were able to know that the Wagner Group would be fleeing via the Southwest, which they're doing now, right? So it is an ability, HCRV, where you hold on to the target and then you let it carry you where it's going to carry you. So in the case of the debt ceiling, we said in about 2.5 to 3.5 days we'll get it. Well, we followed it to a resolution. We found resolution. So last night they came to they said that they started publicly saying that they were coming to a resolution on Saturday. I don't think it was on Saturday. I would argue that it was more likely that they came to a resolution closer to Wednesday or Thursday, but then there were some things they had to hammer out. It was probably the resolution came sooner than they had publicly made it based on the energy. But basically how it feels to me with the debt ceiling is that it's looming. The GOP is under criminal Here's what happened when I went into the debt ceiling. I want to be very clear here. I went into the debt ceiling and I found that several members of the GOP are under criminal investigation. Several members of the GOP are under criminal investigation, and the number one complaint they have for Biden is the following. Members of Congress are complaining. They are saying that we are being consistently harassed by federal agents. You can put a pin in this, document this on May 8th. We are constantly being harassed by federal agents. Our phones are being tapped. Marjorie Taylor Greene is claiming in the remote that she is constantly being tailed by federal officers. She picked up the phone and she called Kevin McCarthy and said that she could see someone tailing her. She said she knows federal officers are following her and she knows they're listening in on her phone calls. She said that other Republicans or lawmakers are complaining about the same thing, and we demand that McCarthy do something about it. We demand the following things, that Biden do the following things. We want to curtail federal surveillance of members of Congress, etc. We feel that the federal government has engaged in overreach. I got a mouthful this morning, didn't I? We feel that the federal government has engaged in oversight due to surveillance, overreach of members of Congress, etc. We've engaged in harassment. They have even followed members of Congress, children to school, and made threatening statements to Congress when dropping children off to school. We feel that these actions are retaliatory. We also feel that we also want to put a stop on the IRS or control of the IRS that is engaged in auditing of people they feel are not cooperating with federal investigations. And we feel that some of these audits have been retaliatory in nature. So let's have a conversation about all of that. If you need me to repeat any of it, because digesting is fine. I know some of you are saying you need to digest it. This is MTG's version. This is McCarthy's version. When I go in as them, when I walk into the room, I got some guy tailing me. Like I care that I'm on the phone while I'm driving, right? I've got some guy tailing me and I'm calling McCarthy. And so when I go in as McCarthy, I've got to take into consideration what MAGA is saying. What's the problem with MAGA? MAGA's the fifth column. What's their biggest fear? Surveillance. So what's the sticking point when you go into the remote? Is it keeping our country safe and giving great deals to the American people? No, it's all about the fact that you go in there and you tell him what life is like for us under 24-hour surveillance by the feds. Is anyone surprised by this when you put yourself in the shoes of the other? How's that feel? Let's talk about it. So Debbie Muse says if their behavior is so, innocent, then why are they afraid about retaliation? They're saying that they're being audited. They are claiming that it's gotten to the point where federal officers are tailing behind members of Congress, evidently, according to them, members of Congress, family members, dropping a kid off, and you've got a federal officer in your face, threatening you, following you. This is what MTG is threatening in the remote. She also said that people were being audited by members of the IRS, that members of Congress had been audited by the IRS and received hostile and threatening messages from the IRS ever since, the federal investigation. So that is what she is claiming. I'm assuming this is going to, more of this is going to come out. That's her version. And let's take this a step further to the next remote. Are we ready for the next remote view? All right, so the next remote view on that same vein has to do with Homeland Security. We've talked about Homeland Security, right? And Homeland Security is being headed by Alejandro Mayorkas. Beautiful name, right? Just rolls off your tongue. Now, if you remember, we went back into a remote where I was asked to use the HCRV technique to see where it took me because people were very upset about what Gregg Abbott had done and what Ron DeSantis had done, forcing legal immigrants onto buses, etc., and shipping them to gosh knows where, flying them to Martha's Vineyard, etc. So what it looks like is that spurred the Department of Justice to look into it. There was a request that the DOJ look into the actions that were taking place to find out whether or not any kind of legal action could happen. And as a result of that, Alejandro Mayorkas opened up a peer to, I don't exactly know how are they a police agency? It's almost like they opened up what looks like a human trafficking. So I'm assuming, do they investigate Homeland Security investigates human trafficking. Is that correct? Thank you. Thank you, Joel Tilson. Okay, so they were asked to investigate. So the DOJ referred it to Alejandro Mallorca. So now the consequences of this, now you're up to date, the consequences of this is that Ron DeSantis and Gregg Abbott have run a campaign with other members of Congress to have him impeached and removed, and that's House Resolution 58.2. Anyone want to talk about it? Anybody surprised, given where the remote takes us, that we would be where we're at now with them trying to put a stop to Mayor? Do you see the insanity of this? At this point, it's like a fifth column that isn't at this point. They're using what little power they have left, not to help the American people, but it seems to be all the time has been spent to try and stop investigations into their activities. You see the craziness of this? So that's, no, I just heard someone ask, no, it's not going to pass, but we can go into it. All right. George Santos. Anybody want to talk about George Santos? Looks like he's refusing to leave. What did we say? That he was like a little child having a temper tantrum? Expect more of that. We said that when we went into his shoes, we step in, right, as remote viewers. We are empathic remote viewers. We are not the classic technique. We are HCRV practitioners. You ever see Quantum Leap? Quantum Leap is based on Tantra. Quantum Leap is based on what we call here HCRV. You ever watch that show, then you understand what it is to be an HCRV practitioner. You walk into the shoes of the other person, right? So with George Santos, what happened when I walked into Quantum Leap? What happened when I became George Santos? I had a temper tantrum like a little kid in Walmart and refused to leave. So he's facing 13 charges. I'm thinking he gets, what did I say, 11 years? But he may only have to do 5 to 7 with good behavior. I heard that if he got maximum charges on everything, it would be 190 years. I don't think he's going to serve that. There's more we can talk about. I had a lot of notes. We can talk a little bit more about the civil war that's taking place in Russia. We can throw later on that. I want us to do the collective since we're running a little late. But pretty much what we had predicted. I think we should definitely do some blitzes on it, that civil war that we had talked about is starting to happen in Russia. And we have multiple sides. It's a little bit scary because on the one hand, we have Prigozhin. On the other hand, we have Putin, we have the generals, we have the leadership, and then we have these revolutionaries, some of whom are pretty right-wing. So, but what we know now is that we are seeing withdraw, probably. I don't know if Russia is going to have the financial wherewithal to keep the war going, which is why energetically, when I followed the energy, I said it's over. Give it a month, 2 months, but the trajectory of the energy is that it goes this way, in the sense that I don't feel like I have weapons. I don't feel we're trying desperately to have the public not know just how badly our weapons are gone. We don't have tanks anymore. They can't figure out, well, why did they choose that bomb instead of that bomb? They don't usually use those bombs to hit that. They know it's not, because we don't have any other bombs. We're using whatever bombs we have left. That's how bad the situation is. So civil war and unrest continues to escalate in Russia. Some of the groups that are part of the revolution are being backed by the CIA. We've talked about that. That's open information. Oh, the main remote. I didn't even get to the main remote. The main remote is this. I'll get to it as really fast as possible. Yeah, so the fight, how it ends is that Prigozhin is to flee. He's trying to go southeast. He may have to go slightly southwest, like I had predicted, because they're trying to regroup to hold on to that part of the area. I don't think they're going to be able to. Okay, the last thing I wanted to say had to do with Donald Trump, number 45. Okay. Here's the message from Spirit, the last thing I would say, and then we'll do the collective. It's really important that people realize that Trump is just a decoy. Trump is a decoy. That is what Spirit wants you to hear over and over and over again. Trump is a decoy. Just like Hitler, in a sense, was Hitler was the face of fascism, but thousands of people engaged in it. And so the takeaway from the remote is that instead, we're sitting around chasing Trump, chasing Trump, chasing Trump. And instead, what we need to be focusing on is the fact we should be following the money and ask ourselves, where did the money come from that backed this candidate? How could this crazy have happened? Where did the money come from that people could have attempted to take over on January 6th? That's not a couple of uneducated people sleeping in a cornfield. That's not how you march on the Capitol and get people in Homeland to cooperate and get people in Capitol security to cooperate and start opening doors and assisting. That's not how you get the layout of the Capitol building. That's not how you plan to gas members of Congress and Senate that have gone down into the bomb shelter, because you already know how everything is set up. That's done because there's a tremendous amount of money behind this, what has happened, and because there are people on the inside. And Trump is just a decoy. While we go around chasing after what's Trump going to do? What's Trump going to do? We have missed the greater issue, which is the fact that Rupert Murdoch, who I believe is a member of the House, was a member of the House of Lords, if I'm not mistaken, is basically a fascist. And he and his minions attempted a fascist coup of the American government. And that's really the greater conversation, is that people with a lot of money and a lot of power with fascist leanings have attempted to take over the US federal government. So Trump will come and Trump will go. But the greater issue and the more important issue is always going to be the Robert Mueller investigation. Who are these people and where's the money coming from? So Rupert Murdoch, a Tory, member of the House of Lords, made a deal with the royal family, supposedly, according to the lawsuit by Harry, now openly a liberal. Who knew? According to the lawsuit, the royals made a deal to give dirt on Harry, make him the sacrificial lamb in order to stay away from or write positive articles about Camille, etc. In plainer words, lift up the royal family, maintain the royal status, maintain the Tories, and go after the liberals. And that is precisely what the lawsuit is by Harry. So the lawsuit becomes another case of liberals versus conservatives. But in this case, the conservatives have control over the conservative media, which can be tainting or distorting how we're hearing about the case. What's interesting is that eyewitnesses of the people on mopeds that were chasing Harry and Meghan, evidently they jumped onto the sidewalk. They nearly hit pedestrians as they were, their restaurants, etc. So it's just interesting that the eyewitnesses that saw things prior to them getting into the taxi, that these people were frantically trying to get to Harry and Meghan in New York. And why are people surprised? They're going to get $100,000 for every photograph, of course. And these are regular people. They're freelance photographers, anybody with a camera, which means it's open season. Murdoch is trying to get them killed. Why is anybody surprised? He did the same thing to the mother. Kept raising the price, raise the price, hunt her down, raise the price. So any lunatic with a camera and a moped, and let nature take its course, so to speak. So it's just, that is the deeper thing that Spirit wants us to think about. Follow the money and not be distracted by, Trump or who the characters are. Yeah. That was the final remote. Any thoughts about that? Well, that's the question. I think that's the hypocrisy. Oh, we can't get involved. It's political. Yes, but you've already gotten involved by making this deal. So it gets to be pretty complicated. Okay, thank you, Kathleen O'Malley, for that lovely donation of $20 to the World Food Program. Yeah, it's interesting because when I went into it, it was just so many people are involved in a fascist coup. They've got judges on the Supreme, people that you would think would be protecting the Constitution. No, they went straight head first into the Constitution, straight after the Supreme Court, the very protectors of the Constitution. So that's more than a few yokels down in wherever, which is what they would have you believe. And that's why it's important that we not get constantly caught up in just being obsessed with Trump, and instead step back and say, okay, how does this network operate? Who owns our Congress? Who owns our Supreme Court? Who owns and how can we hold people accountable when it comes to issues of dark money, et cetera? Not to be conspiratorial. We're not asking people to be, conspiratorial, but we are asking people just to be open door, that people should know where the money's coming from. The remotes showed Erdogan would squeeze by with a win, and it looks like that's what's happening, unfortunately. Oh, he was just real, yeah. Sometimes people get mad at me like I create. I just read the cards. Okay, ready? Would you guys like the Empath's prayer? I wore my hair down for you. Yes, people are like, wear it down more. Okay, let's do Empath's prayer and the collective. This is fun. You guys having fun? Everybody say hi to Flopsy. Hey. Gonna have my coffee before we. How old is Murdoch? I don't know. Is he going to be replaced by another royalist? Royalism is psychotic. Have you guys seen Harlots on? Who here has seen Harlots? Anybody here seen Harlots? What the royals were really like? You have Downton Abbey, and then you have Harlots, which is written by liberals who know their history inside and out. They're having like hunting parties where they're hunting people and shooting and killing people for sport. They're complete psychopaths. Like Saddam Hussein, man. This is Flopsy. It's my cat's Peter Cottontail's friend. Hulu. It's on Hulu. But it's a house of prostitution for the gentry, and the gentry are just, and it's all based on historical fact. A lot of human trafficking, lots of human trafficking. But it was human trafficking 200 years ago. Hideous. That's how a lot of them kept their titles and kept their money. Slavery. Dreadful. All right. Let's do the empath prayer. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. In honor of Lena Rodriguez and Sienna Rose, we'll use their cards today for the reading. This is the collective, so we ask Spirit to give the messages that you need at this time. If the message doesn't apply to you, just send it on its way. It's like a table. We're all at the table together, right? So somebody sends down the broccoli and you are not a broccoli person. You just send it down and you just sit patiently and you wait for the spinach. That's how collectives work. Where we are at as a collective, our wishes will be granted with hard work. So the first message to Spirit is, you must ask yourself what it is you truly want out of this lifetime. What do you want out of this lifetime, and what are you willing to give us in exchange for what you want? You have to also have fun along the way, but your wish, whatever it is that you want more than anything in the world, will be granted. But it comes with a price. You can have what you want, but it comes with great work. Heavy work lay ahead for you. So the question you have to ask yourself, are you willing to do the work? A lot of people say, well, I want to be rich. Well, you can be rich. Are you willing to do the work? Well, no. Well, then you probably won't be rich. So the other thing about 10 of Wands is that you can come up with easy ways to make it less difficult. In plain words, there are ways to make your load a little bit less difficult. Like that picture. Where you're at right now, the Queen of Wands, a place of determination, strength, and ethos are with you. The determined Queen. Oh my God, I love how they did. It's like an old Oshun. Healing is right over you as well. Many of you who are going through healing crisis, you've got Archangel Raphael with you right now. Really nice, beautiful healing energy. Strength and passion and healing right over you. What is above you at this time? The Tower. So things are going to start changing for some of you, aren't they? Many of you are feeling like you're on the verge of your homes possibly changing as well. Tower is when things are starting to come apart maybe a little bit regarding what? Ooh, the Star. It's now or never. So some of you are feeling like it's now or never. This breaking apart where you really have to start your stardom. Your star awaits. So the Tower, things are kind of breaking apart. So you've waited too long. Now is the time to go for your star. You want to be famous? Do it on YouTube. It's easy. It's fun. Want to be a tap dancer? Go for it. Just let your star shine. But the tower is kind of like also breaking apart and opening up so that you can be a bigger expression of yourself. Anything that is getting in the way of your own advancement is just a load that you don't need to carry. So you're leaving the Eight of Cups, which is letting go of things. That can be simplifying your life, not having too many things, trying to be more of a minimalist. You have to realize the base of your matter is the Nine of Cups, which is to find the lost cup and to have your wish granted. So you leave things behind in order to find what you are wishing for, what you are hoping for, which is great. These cards are great. In the near future, issues regarding family inheritance will be resolved. Whatever's causing all this tension, potentially there's family tensions, inheritance issues, the tower over issues of family inheritance. 10 of Pentacles appears to be a factor. Take care of yourself. You can't control the craziness of other people. With the Temperance card in the 7th house, watch your sobriety. Alcohol, too many donuts, you don't want to know. Me with Little Debbie donuts, you don't want to know. Though actually it was the Hostess. Those chocolate Hostess donuts are better. 15 per bag of the minis. I ate 11. Well, yeah, I ate 11. So Temperance, we must control ourselves. Sobriety, others in relationship to us give us wise counsel. We have High Priestess with us. Hopes and fears, 6 of Cups, to go back to what you love. Return back to your bliss. 5 of Swords, theft. Let's do a clarification. 5 of Wands, patience and, let's see. Patience and study in your future. Be careful with your money right now. Be careful about being overtaxed. Be careful about too many fees. Be careful about who you lend money to. There is some conflict here, potentially over your business, finance, etc. Excuse me. You can see here 5 of Wands conflict. But here you have 5 of Swords walking away from a conflict, instead focusing on business. You're going to be okay, but try and avoid conflict at this time, particularly with family members. Some of you might be having some family issues. It looks like you guys are going to be coming into inheritance, some of you. Excuse me. Choking on some water here. All right. So whenever you guys are ready, we can blitz away. That was your collective. Many of you coming into inheritance. Some of you going back to school. Now is the time for you to fulfill your dreams. You can have what you want. Your wish will be granted if you're willing to do the work. Have fun along the way. You're here to be happy and to share it with the world. Same message as before. There was, be careful about getting a good price on everything. As you build your dream, be careful you're not taken advantage of. Because the theft was over the cart of one's business, to be about your business. So you all have to be about your business, but just be careful there, say, for example, you were redoing your house and somebody tried to overcharge, things of that nature. Just be aware of it. All right, so when we get the order to blitz away, we will blitz away, and then I will begin doing questions. Oh, Wendy, was that helpful? Oh, good. Oh, you've got Daddy's trust. Yeah, Wendy. Well, it said it would be resolved. Wendy, it was in the 6th house, which would be near future, Wendy. So since you were part of the collective, I would say give it a couple of weeks. It's probably because the energy is in the near future. Any of you that are working on trust, inheritance, it's right over you. 10 of Pentacles is an inheritance card, but you've also got a Tower. So family issues. Oh my God. Anytime somebody dies and you got to go after, you got to divide it up. My sister was really great when my mom passed away and we went through the inheritance. Everybody got exactly the same thing. My sister's the matriarch, my older sister. She didn't want to hear anyone's sob story, or everybody got a check, everybody signed it, and that was it. It was great. All right, first question is coming from Kathy Reagan. She wants to know if Trump's going to be the nominee for the Republican Party. Just a 4-card blitz, and we'll get through everything, hopefully. And if you can like and subscribe, that would be great. And awesome memberships are great. It's a great way to support the channel. Thank you to everyone who has become a member. Much gratitude. Well, Trump already thinks he is the president. He's the emperor. In his mind, it's very strange to put myself in the shoes of Trump because I have to bend myself a certain way. Any other HCRV practitioners find that when you try to dip into being Trump, that you kind of have to. It's an interesting person to be as an HCRV practitioner because, when I sit in the shoes, I'm already the emperor. I am the emperor. He would never have left because in his mind, he sees himself as the emperor. He sees Biden, his opposition. How do you think he would see his opposition if you were doing a psychiatric eval? They stole it. The thief's card. They stole my presidency. I'm the emperor. I wear the crown. This is how he perceives of himself. Remember, the 7th house is your immediate environment. It's how you perceive of your relationship to your opposition is the 8th, the 2nd card in a blitz. They stole it. They stole it. Hopes and fears, the Queen of Cups. He fears offers, some kind of offer. The Queen of Cups is also the dreamer. 3 of Pentacles is, in a court case, it can be a case, right, to build like architecture. A case against, when he fears the case. Queen of Cups could be an actual woman that he fears. Also, could be Fonnie Willis. But the Dreamer's card, the Bride's card, let me do a clarification with him. Can you imagine that he presented that way as his perception? This is complete. Well, I think Joel Tilson is asking a really great question. Would a mental evaluation stop Trump? I don't know. Could members of the GOP, not everybody supports him, demand a mental eval? He's going to be betrayed by his own, and he will be taken out of the race. In fact, he's going to be taken out relatively soon. I'm going to go ahead and predict within a week or two. And he's saying in this remote, because we're using quick technique, HCRV with cards is called quick technique. So he, with a fetish object, is quick technique. So he is, oh, Jesus. Pardon, not to use spiritual names in vain, but I feel as Trump that I was betrayed by the Republicans stabbed me in the back because they're afraid of me. The Republicans are afraid of Trump, and then they stabbed Trump in the back. So he perceives of himself as already the king, the emperor. They stabbed him in the back. This is also, you have to understand, a blitz, you can only go forward a couple of weeks, usually. So we're talking about fairly soon, right? And then look at his opposition. he perceives of them as having attempted to steal the presidency. But then we have this scholar's card, again, denoting some kind of an investigation or light on some evidence, which leads to his betrayal. What's interesting is his hope and fear, again, in the Blitz. It'd be the third card. Page of Wands would be a new beginning associated with this Queen of Cups. I don't know who that Queen of Cups is. He's toast. The investigation leads to Hanged Man. He's the hanged man in a court case to be guilty or to be hung. It's a literal meaning of the hanged man, the one who is hanged, found guilty and hanged. The case, remember we read Three of Pentacles as architecture case. He will be convicted. He will be hanged. Well, yes, I hear you. I'm hearing people say as it should be for treason. Is that how you treat treason? Do you hang people for treason? Discuss. Why do you think Spirit chose to show him as the man hanging from the tree? What does that denote about his future betrayal? What do you think? Do you think the Republican Party is going to betray him? I do. I think that's precisely what's going. Look what happened in Texas. Aggravated says that he better have eyes tattooed on his back. Maybe. I think that he is pulled out also to hang it up, right? But I think that I would take it more literally as why Spirit chose it, because that was how people were executed for treason. They were hung for treason. So either way, the guy's not doing too well either way. You got to admit, he's not a happy boy. So it is what it is. So there you go. All right, let's keep going. Anybody surprised by that? No surprise. But it's interesting because now they're talking about the indictment on the stolen documents. The last time we did a remote on the stolen documents, it looked like he was actually picking through them and selling stuff. So contort yourself to fit Trump. Yeah, Wendy. I'm just curious because I know that we have a lot of HCRV practitioners now. We've probably got about 100 of them that watch the show. If they themselves have ever, like when you're like slipping in that final phase of HCRV in step 4, do you ever like, wow, how do I feel? Like, do you ever find yourself like with the craziest idea? I do. To fold into him as an empath, because we take on them, right? If you look at the original Star Trek episode about the empath, I think it's fun personally, but because we're very protected, we are grounded to the earth, so we can't get carried away. But I think it's kind of fun. A split personality being a Gemini, sure. I think that's legitimate. Claudia Veras has a question. She wants to know, rumor is Kevin will be gone because of debt ceiling deal. Yes or no? Boy, isn't that a good question. What do y'all think? How stable is he? Is he stable as a deck of cards? Yes, no, maybe. Is it a house of cards? Absolutely. Let's take a look. Future of Kevin McCarthy. Well, the fact that all they're obsessing about is we're being harassed by federal agents. They are tailing me. They are following people who are taking their children to school. Oh my God, Whimsy, you do that too well. That's what she said. It would be kind of unnerving, but it would only be unnerving if you had done something wrong, right? If you haven't done anything wrong, then you shouldn't be scared. Yay, we have a deal. Marjorie Taylor Greene has said no to the deal, and so is Boebert. He lost MAGA. They're afraid of going to prison. God, these people, I can't. They will go to prison. They're afraid of going to prison because they will go to prison. The sun. He's carrying the sun flag. Victory, right? So this is where he's at. We've got a deal. Dun, 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 the King of Swords. You know, so he is riding into battle victorious. King of Swords is like a military. He's feeling pretty darn good. Here's the problem. His opposition is MAGA in the cards. So what he has done has actually made him run afoul of MAGA. Well, anything he had done. So you got 3-4 people now are like, you know, you've got the MTGs and Gosarts complaining that they're being federally harassed. So his opposition, the Republicans who won't sign, they feel trapped. They feel cornered. They feel like they're cornered, right? They're tightened, and 901's trapped, cornered and trapped. The Republicans feel cornered, trapped. Think about that. The Republican congressman's walking into battle with the flag of victory, the king's sword, the warrior king with the sword, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, Gosart, and Matt Gaetz feel cornered and trapped. So whatever the deal was does not bode well for MAGA. Their hope and the fear. Economic stability of the nation, the Empress, and 9 of Cups, making everybody happy. Empress is a budget card. It's the treasure trove, right? But look at this. Look. Here's MTG. Here's the Republicans. Boebert. Even looks a little bit like Boebert, doesn't it? Only with blonde hair. No deal. No deal. No deal. No deal. Got a little bit of the MTG there thing going on there. The 4 of Cups is to reject the deal. Does it matter in the end? He will be betrayed. The Phoenix rises, though. Maybe in another lifetime. No deal. 10 of Swords betrayed. They're not going to go for it. You know, he rides into victory, but look at his outcome. Dang. I think the opposition's not coming from the Democrats. The 4 of Cups would have to be coming from MAGA. Democrats want a deal. Our concern is that he's going to cut SNAP, and he's going to cut federal aid to students. I think that they may be able to keep those things because the main concern when you go into the remote by the MAGA people is prison. That's all they care about. They care about you go into the remote. Think about it. I think we need to really, really think about it. When I walked in as Kevin McCarthy and I had voices in my head, it's like when I sat as Kevin McCarthy. Remember before he got picked? You guys had me sit as Kevin McCarthy, and when I looked across the room, I saw Boebert like this, and I said, oh, he's going to have problems with Boebert. He had problems with Boebert. Now when I walk in, it's the same thing. I'm nervous because I walk in, and I got Boebert. Well, nothing's going to make her happy. Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Gosart, these people. The fact that 4 of Cups is the outcome. Look, what is going to make them feel safe? Nothing. Nothing's going to make them feel safe. 10 of Swords, backstabbing. They're stabbing each other. They're stabbing each other. They're stabbing each other in the back to save one another. It is what it is. Okay, Governor Abbott. What do y'all think about Abbott? He's one of the people that signed on to Congress getting rid of Mallorca. Does that seem like an odd coincidence? We did a remote saying that DOJ had requested he be investigated by Homeland, headed by Mallorca, and now, gee, who knew? Wonder why Abbott wants him removed. Comments, suggestions, surprising. You're not surprised. Let's take a look. Future of Gregg Abbott, will he be prosecuted? He's in trouble. He could be charged. It's an investigation. It's an investigation into human trafficking, and I think there's enough evidence that he can be charged and could possibly be charged. The fear is Mallorca, who presents as Nine of Pentacles, a lot of evidence, and then King of Swords going after him. His opposition, Eight of Cups, walking away, King of Wands. What's interesting here is fear of the Sun coming out, and then Four of Cups, rejecting an offer. But what's interesting is the final outcome for Gregg Abbott is this. Look, again, Nine of Wands, which is to be cornered, can't get away, wounded. Nine of Swords, up at night, stressed. So if this guy doesn't wind up in jail, at the very least, he winds up in a situation where he's contained, controlled, defensive, which could indicate future charges or a recommendation by Homeland that he be charged. He's confused about the future also. I would say his future is looking pretty bad. Even if it doesn't result in formal charges, there could be actions or the fear of actions keeping him up at night with the Nine of Swords. Good question. Thank you, Copper Broom, for the question. This question is coming from Desert Dawn, and I think it's another really great question. She wants to know about the investigation into Jack Smith. As many of you know, Jack Smith has there's some evidence that he's ready to prosecute Trump for his handling of the stolen documents. Let's take a look. Jack Smith, ready to prosecute. Yeah, he's ready to go forward with charges, and there's strong evidence, and it's kind of a cut and dry case. And so, yes, the first will probably be happening in less than 10 days. This energy looks like it's happening in approximately, we can go ahead and 8 to 10 days, I would say. I'll go ahead and show you why I came to that date. Jack Smith is now in the place of the Nine of Cups. His wish has been granted and it's over. The Knight of Pentacles, he's ready to end things. His opposition would be Donald Trump, who presents as the Eight of Cups, walking away from what he built. And the Three of Swords, again, a card of betrayal, heartbreak. Could be that he feels personally betrayed by whoever gave over evidence against him. Can also be a third party, like a betrayal of an affair, for example. The hope and fear of Jack Smith, Six of Cups, was initially to get cooperation deals, probably with the Six of Cups, which is cooperation and offers. And then King of Cups again, which would be a mediation card. The final outcome here is Knight of Wands, which goes to war and wins, walks in, wins. and then the Empress card, which is the treasure trove that ever overflows. And so he wins the case. I'm going to go ahead and say 10 days with those cards, just because I only go forward about, it gets to be very complicated to read the quote unquote future in the real, I want to call it the real world, if what we do is the real world, beyond a couple of months or weeks, because there are too many mathematical equations that go into it. This is why personality disorders are so bothersome for me as a remote viewer, and I think for many of you as remote who are professional remote viewers, in the sense that we can often predict future choices by people with personality disorders because so little growth and so little change happens. But if you're looking at long-term future, there are a lot of factors that go into determining what will happen. But basically, because it's already happened, because based on this information, he's already completed his investigation, it's looking like prosecution within 10 days. Indictment. Great question, Desert Dawn. Thank you. Rondell Threadgate, the Trump wants Texans to protest the impeachment down there. Will there be big protest? Let's see about, I don't think, every time I go into the soul of Texas, I'm not seeing this conservative state. I don't know what happened. Were y'all taken over by evangelicals or marketing or what? This is a libertarian state. Get the hell away from us. We came out here to be left alone. They were libertarian liberals, Texas, what were they? Texas Democrats. They were what was his name? Kiki Friedman. You ever heard of Kiki Friedman and the Texas Jew Boys, a band? He reminds me of kind of like the heart of Texas. It's mind your own damn business. That was basically do your job and stay out of people's private business. That was kind of his stance. All right, let's see. If there's any protest happening in Texas when Trump is indicted by Fani Willis in August, or due to these recent possible indictment by Smith. No, people aren't interested in protesting. People are depressed. They feel like nothing changes. And people are just not motivated. Not only that, but people are starting to reach across the aisle and listen more with libertarian liberals in Texas, because they want to legalize pot, and people don't. This evangelical stuff is really becoming a turnoff. That's how it feels. I mean, confusion, the chariot, the guy coming in, right, to Texas, but look, there's the moon over his entire movement, howling at the moon. They just, Four of Cups, they don't want to go out and march. Do these people look motivated to march for Trump? In the clouds. They feel like they have no future, the youth of Texas, problems with sobriety, probably they're having fentanyl problems. There are border issues. They're having border issues. There's grief and depression in Texas, which leads to what? Reaching across the aisle, lovers, peace, love, harmony, back to nature. Hang out with us, They'd rather smoke weed in a yurt with a bunch of beautiful liberal, leggy blonde liberals than go out to his protest because nothing changed. That's basically the argument. Come hang out with some liberals in the yurt. We'll go off grid. That's much more interesting, I think, to those guys than going to a protest. It's Oshun. It's spring. People are dating. People are going to fairs. People want jobs. It's no. I don't see him ever becoming what Trump's time is over. Like the remotes have said about Donald Trump, he's a decoy. I don't know. Speaker Dade Felon. I don't know who. He was drunk in session. Wow. I don't know who that is. Anybody know who Dade Felon is? Is he another Texan? Hmm. Okay. So did we get to everybody's questions? Did everybody have fun? Crazy times we live in. I think I had a couple more remotes. Anything more about the Ukraine war? Just pray for Ukraine, but also Russia as it faces civil war. That cooler heads will prevail. Also, again, if you guys would like to make donations to our to the what is it? The World Hunger. Could some help? I need help. Thank you, everyone who's donating to our charity today. Well, the remotes were good. Yes, Putin is on his way out. They don't have any more weapons. It ends with them running. It ends with Wagner doing their photo op, like we said, taking a picture and then running like a bat out of wherever. They're taking Luhansk right now. The counteroffensive's already started. So they don't have any weapons. What are they going to do? They're trying to buy weapons out of Africa. They're looking at the black market now. There are many different groups fighting, and Wagner got into trouble because they were told they were not effective, and a lot of people abandoned, a lot of weapons were stolen, et cetera, et cetera. I think I got all of that for you. We talked about Alejandro Mayorkas and energetically when I went in, why that was going to happen. We talked about it a couple of months ago. Now it's happened. This is why. E. Jean Carroll, we didn't get into that. It looks like the Department of Justice has to go into amending the complaint based on some defamatory statements. The DOJ is not going to protect Trump because all of this stuff happened when he was no longer the president, and they have to protect the office of the presidency. So I see the DOJ not coming in to help. We got into that. The debt ceiling we got into. It was. Yeah, and then what? Okay, I think I did get to everything. Awesome. I was worried because I had like 6 pages for you guys today. Last night was crazy. I had so many remotes. Look at just the notes alone. This is how I spend my Saturday nights. But these were your notes. I think I got through them all. Oh yeah, and yeah, and then the last page. Well, great job. We did it. Woohoo! All right. If you're trying to get in for a reading, you can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com, or you can just click on the Booksy link and schedule that way. If you need just a 5-minute quickie, in and out in 5 minutes. You can do that through Wizio, very inexpensive, and those are pre-taped videos. Also, if you need to see me as a doctor, I do general coaching, helping you with naturopathic medicine, and also I'm a medical intuitive. So that's another interesting thing I do. And Debbie Brady's been kind enough to put that information up for us as well. Please stay safe and sober, everybody, during this time. I guess the statistics are no bueno for accidents. So try and stay clean and sober. Thank you, Joel Tilson, for your help. Debbie Brady, awesome as usual. Thank you. Cartomancy Mesquite, thank you for your help today as well. Geocosmic Valentine, thank you as well. I think I have said everything that needs to be Sad. Yes, Russia is facing war crimes, Joel, but we've gone in many, many times. They're never going to hand Putin over. Yeah. I got everything right. I got you. All right. Be well, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for the donations to the charity. Thank you.